Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica with Memory Box Candle Co. and I make videos all about making and selling candles. In today's video, I'm going to be finally talking about my bookkeeping software, which is QuickBooks. Now, just kind of a recap of my experience with QuickBooks so far. So in the very beginning of me starting my business, I use QuickBooks Self-Employed. So QuickBooks as a whole, they do have a few different subcategories under QuickBooks for bookkeeping. So if you go in there, you can see that they have self-employed, they have the online version, they have payroll, they have a bunch of stuff that you can get. So in today's video, I'm just going to be going over the self-employed and the online version. So one thing that I want to make very, very clear to you guys is that I am not a CPA. I do not understand all that is encompassed in the taxes, the bookkeeping, and all that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions regarding that, please contact a local CPA. And in fact, I recommend to do that regardless of whether or not you choose to bookkeep yourself or do your taxes yourself, just so you can get that information and get that education on this kind of topic. So I just wanted to put that out there, that this is just my personal experience, but I really hope it helps you guys out. So back when I was just a sole proprietor with a DBA, which meant that I had not yet formed my business entity. So back in February of this year, I did become an S corporation. So I am now incorporated. So the way that I do my taxes is quite different. So what I had done in the very beginning when I was just a sole proprietor was I use QuickBooks Self-Employed. So QuickBooks Self-Employed is an app and a desktop web browser, so you can go either online on the browser or there is an app. I use both of them for different reasons. I mainly use the app though because I felt like it was a little bit faster to categorize everything, but there is a desktop version to it as well. So what it is it's basically just a software where you are able to connect your bank accounts and you are able to track your spending. So you can track every transaction that comes in and out of your account. It lets you know what your bank account is at, but it also allows you to categorize things as either personal or business. So if you are like me and you have not always used your business account 100% for business purposes, and if you're ever using it for personal spending, then you are able to actually categorize things as business or personal. So this was really helpful for me, although it kind of gave me a little bit more of a leniency to use my business cards sometimes for personal spending, which I really do not recommend. If you guys have a business account, make sure that you keep it just for business purposes, because in the off chance that you get audited at the end of the year for your taxes, they will be looking at everything. So whatever you have on there, whatever spending, they will be looking at it. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, it's really important to know your numbers. It's really important to look at your account and really be able to tell how much money you are making, how much money you are spending, and what is your profit. As a business owner, you really need to know these numbers. If you are putting these off to the side, or if you are just kind of estimating how much you are making, that is not going to cut it in the long run when you start to grow. You are going to get confused on things. You're going to think that you're making more than you are, or you won't realize that you're spending a certain amount of money towards something that you didn't really realize that your expenses were so high and your income was so low, so your profit ended up lower than what you actually thought. So profit is really, really important to know in a business, and being able to keep track of the numbers and really look at everything is going to help you out so much more. So QuickBooks Self-Employed is pretty self-explanatory. It's very, very simple. All you do is you connect your bank account, you start categorizing things, so personal, business, whatever it is, and make sure that you are keeping track of your receipts. So if you go to Staples and you get a bunch of office supplies that you are using for shipping, let's say you get some tape and some pens and some Sharpies or whatever you need, some scissors, whatever it is that you need for shipping, and you want to put that in as an expense for that transaction, I always keep my receipts, and then you are actually able to take a photo of your receipt on the app and include it in that transaction, and then I just go ahead and throw away the receipt, because as soon as you get a photo of it, you don't have to hang on to it. And I think that that's probably one of my favorite things about the app, is that I don't actually have to keep a physical copy of everything. As long as I take a photo of it, it's in record and you have it there in the app in that transaction. If you guys are confused about what is included as a business expense, make sure again that you contact a CPA just to get an idea of what you should be keeping track of as a business expense. But it's pretty safe to know that if you are using it for business purposes, if you're buying wax, if you're buying candle jars, if you're buying, a whole shipping table, if you're buying packing paper, boxes, all that kind of stuff will be a business expense. But if you have any questions or if you're hesitant on what is not a business expense, make sure you reach out to a certified personal accountant. Something else that you can do with this app is actually track your mileage. So if you are driving a lot to different candle suppliers, or if you're driving a little bit further to the post office to drop off packages, or whatever it is, you can keep track of this mileage and you can deduct that. So it can be a deduction. So just make sure that you are hooking up everything you need to in the little mileage area. They ask for information about your car, and you are able to basically just keep it on at all times so it knows that when you are driving, it will log your mileage and log where you go. So then you're able to go in and actually categorize that as either, again, personal or business, and it will basically exclude all of the personal and it will add everything up for the business. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about regarding the self-employed version is the fact that if you get, I believe it is the second tier, so they have a total of 3 different tiers of the self-employed version. I believe it's the second and the third tier. You're actually able to pay your estimated quarterly taxes through QuickBooks Self-Employed. This was actually what made me want to get the self-employed version instead of the online version. When I first got started and I was just a sole proprietor, this was the main thing that sold me on this version, was the fact that I could pay my estimated quarterly taxes. So again, if you have any questions about quarterly taxes and all that kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend to reach out to a CPA. But essentially, we are making an income, we have to pay our taxes. As a self-employed individual, our taxes are a little bit higher than somebody who is working just a regular 9-to-5 job. The tax bracket is going to be different as a self-employed person. So when you are making an income and you are putting in your expenses, the app is actually able to give you an estimation on how much you will owe in taxes for that quarter. It will also give you a deadline of when they are due. I think that is really, really nice and really important for self-employed individuals to keep up with their quarterly taxes, because it's going to help you out so much more later on to know that you've paid taxes. Even if you still owe a little bit more at the end of the year, it's really nice to know that you have paid taxes and it's not going to bunch up on you and you have to pay this whole amount at the end of the year. In order to pay your quarterly taxes, you do need to have an EFTPS account with the IRS. And basically what that is, it's not scary. It's just essentially you are able to electronically pay them for your taxes. So you do have to get that set up so that when you pay your quarterly taxes, it's going to go through to your account. It's going to be taken out of whatever bank account you want it taken out of, and you can have that set up. I believe if you go on to the QuickBooks Self-Employed and you go to the taxes area to pay your taxes, I believe they give you a little guideline on how to do that. If not, you can always reach out to support and ask them how to go about setting that up. But I think that the fact that you are able to pay them directly through your QuickBooks and that it is keeping track of all of your payments, I think that that is such a big plus. So now before I go into my little review of the QuickBooks Online version, I did want to go over some cons about the self-employed version. I feel like this video is turning more into a pros and cons against the self-employed and the online version, but because I've had experience with both, I really wanted to let you guys know about both of them so that you can figure out which one is going to best suit your needs with your business. Okay, so moving into the cons of the self-employed version. So first of all, it's very simple. It is a very basic bookkeeping software. It just basically allows you during the categorization to just choose business or personal. So if you wanted to categorize them or actually code them in any other way or really separate them, or if you do farmers markets and online sales, if you wanted to differentiate the two, you wouldn't be able to. It's just all in one lump sum. So if you are trying to track multiple different streams of income and you really wanted to separate them, you would not be able to do that in this app. Another con is that the reports page is very basic. So all of the reports that it gives you to download and have are very basic, a very basic profit and loss statement. When I had printed that all out for my CPA for my taxes for 2020, it was just a very basic form, and it did have all the information that she needed. So if you are just a sole proprietor or an LLC or whatever it is right now, you don't have any employees, and all you need is just that basic form, then it could be right for you to be on the self-employed version. But if you need something that's going to give you more forms, or if you will be hiring employees and you do need to keep track of payroll, then the online version might work better for you. And let's go ahead and get right into the online version. So first things first, just keep in mind that if you start off on the self-employed version and you then move into the online version, it is not a smooth transition over. I learned that the hard way. It took me quite a while. I actually was double paying for both of them for a while because I just couldn't figure out how to get my self-employed transactions over to my online account, because I had 5 or 6 months of transactions that I had already categorized, and I didn't want to have to categorize them again, which I ended up having to, but it's okay because the online version allowed me to categorize them in a completely different way. It's not just business and personal. I'm actually able to go on and pick the vendors. So if I buy something from California Candle Supply, from Candle Science, from the Flaming Candle, from Uline, from Staples, wherever it is, I can actually input it in there and create rules. So a rule is essentially just telling the software when I get a transaction like this coming in. So if I spent $50 at Staples yesterday and I input it in there that Staples is always under the supplies category, then it will automatically know to categorize that, and all I have to do is just confirm it, and then it is put away and categorized. I actually spent an entire day, well, it wasn't a whole day, it was a couple of hours of just enjoying categorizing things and figuring out the whole software and learning it and trying to understand it and categorizing things. So now what I'm able to do is I'm able to actually see my income from all of my different sources of income, and I can actually see what I am spending specifically on my candle supplies and my candle business, and then what I've actually made on my candle business. So I'll be able to see a direct profit from what I'm actually spending on that specific business versus how much I'm making from YouTube versus how much I'm making from affiliate marketing. All of these different streams of income was always just lumped into one in the self-employed app. And now I'm actually able to categorize things. So it gives me a little bit more insight into what I'm spending money on and what is making me more money. Something else that I like about the QuickBooks Online version is that I was also able to pay separately for the payroll because I am an S corporation. So I do have to put myself on payroll under my corporation. So under the QuickBooks Online, I was able to get payroll on top of that for an additional charge, and I'm able to keep everything in one software. So I'm able to run payroll on myself and keep it under my bookkeeping software as well. And it also is really nice in the online version that the reports are so much more detailed. So you have so many more reports that you can print out. For instance, for the payroll, I need the 941 and the 940, and I'm able to find that and get that information on the online version. And I don't believe that would be available on the self-employed version. You can also track your mileage on the online version as well, so nothing changes between the self-employed and the online version for that. However, one of the major cons that I have for the online version is that you are not able to pay estimated quarterly taxes. So it's a little bit different than the self-employed version. And I think the reason why they do this is because for the self-employed version, usually you are a self-employed individual who will be paying self-employment tax, versus on the online version, they don't know what your tax situation looks like. So you are still able to create an EFTPS account and pay quarterly taxes by just doing simple math, looking at your profits, estimating that 15% in self-employment tax. I think it's 15%. It might be higher. I think it's around 15% though, and still be able to pay those taxes. And you will be able to take a printout of your taxes that you made on the EFTPS website and take it to your CPA at the end of the year and be able to show them that you did pay taxes, again, just so it's not built up over the year. However, as I've been saying throughout the whole video, I'm sorry if this gets annoying, but for something like this, for the estimated quarterly taxes, when you are a self-employed individual and you're on the online version of QuickBooks, I would just ask them how that works. How do you know what your estimated taxes are if it doesn't tell you? Should you just estimate it yourself by figuring out 15% of your profit, or how should you be figuring that out? That is a question that I recommend for you to ask them, because to be completely honest, that is a question that I personally do not know. It was a luxury, you could say, that I had for the QuickBooks Self-Employed version that I really enjoyed, that is changing once I go over to the online version. But because my taxes are going to be much different as an S corporation, I am just going based off of my taxes that I am paying from payroll taxes from paying myself. So this whole year is just going to be kind of just a learning experience for me as well, to learn what I need to be looking for, what I need to be doing in terms of taxes throughout the year, and seeing if I'm doing it right or wrong this year. And I will figure that out once it comes down to tax season. But I really hope this video helped those of you out who are looking to get on some sort of bookkeeping software, because it is so crucial to get on some sort of bookkeeping software to make sure that you are keeping track of all of your expenses and see if you're actually making a profit. It is so important. If you guys have any further questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Again, this is just my personal experience with QuickBooks and what I've learned so far, and I really hope it helped you guys out. So with that, please make sure to leave this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at MemoryBoxCandleCo, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.